What is up, my dudes? I'm opening my code editor right now. So, we have a problem. In my previous video, I explained exactly what you need to do in order to access the data of Project Revolution, right? I covered this very clearly. I said, here's how you access the data of Project Revolution. And it was very straightforward. I said, all you need to do is go to the preferences of my program, and let's make it so you guys can see this. Let's actually go to display settings, and we're actually going to change resolution to something really low so that it's really obvious to you guys what I'm doing. And then I'll make sure that you guys really see it. Okay, great. We're just going to make this abundantly clear what I'm doing. Okay, so here's Rhetera Model Studio, and we've talked about what do I do if I want to use Project Revolution. I can just go on here and add an MPQ, and I can look up Project Revolution. Now, of course, in order to do that, I'm going to have to find the pop-up that pops up when I click Add here, which it looks like it took a moment loading. So here's my Project Revolution directory. Here's revolution.mpq, and then let's add another MPQ. Let's add sound.mpq. Great. So you have Revolution and sound. Now we push OK on that, right? And that should immediately fire a reload event, which looks like it didn't happen in this case. So then you got to wonder, why didn't it happen? In theory, it should. Should load Revolution and sound. I don't know if we need to delete our database map or what's up there. Yeah, okay. I don't know why that didn't fire a reload. So that's a code bug on my part. I apologize. But anyway, you see what happens. You could have restarted the program to get the same effect, right? Suddenly you have the ability to browse the units from Project Revolution. You have all the StarCraft units, all of this. And he's telling me, he's like, look, if I go to the data view over here, like, and I go to some of these like sound files, I can export. But he's saying I can't export the model. Okay, now I'm pretty sure this was deliberate, probably on Blizzard's part, because, or not Blizzard's part, the Project Revolution developers. They probably were using textures out of StarCraft 1 to make these models or something, and I think there was something about how they didn't want the users to be able to access that. Probably. Who knows? So anyway, they built it in such a way that, like, if you load MPQ editor, this is really the complaint, right? If you load MPQ editor and you go into Program Files, Project Revolution, and you go to Revolution MPQ, okay, there's nothing in it. It's all junk. So he's basically telling me, why don't I go to main panel in my code, and in main panel, you know, we have that thing like open portrait, right? Apparently we don't have that. Anyway, there's a function like create unit editor tree thing, right? And this is used in Open Unit Viewer. So basically it spawns this unit editor tree, and then it just puts that in a little window. So the create unit editor tree function actually makes a unit editor tree, and we give it an MDL load listener. So this, of course, is like over-engineered and not doing what we want, because basically, realistically, you want to also have the ability to extract. Like, this thing takes in this listener, and it calls on the MDL load listener. It says load file, and it calls this anytime that you do an action on this open pop-up or on open portrait. So all you have to do, right, in this pop-up menu is just go to the pop-up menu, and then on top of what's already there, add separator. Now I'm getting some lag. Okay, of course these code editors, nobody can build a good code editor. This is 2019. You add a separator to the pop-up menu, and then you add a new menu item again, wrapping in action or text or whatever you want. So let's make it say extract. Right? This is what Deepstrasz is asking for. He wants extract, and we're like, okay, here's extract. Sorry, I called it extra. Extract, and what extract needs to do is basically what open is doing. I would just copy that exact same thing, except not quite, right? If I click on extract, yeah, if I click on extract, we're going to have this listener that does this same thing. It figures out the path. It figures out, is it a game object? If it is, it finds the MDX path, and then it gets the MDX file from the MPQ. Then the question is, what are we going to do with that file, right? So what you should do is files.copy can copy from an input stream. So then you don't even actually need to use get file. You could use get resource as stream. This means that it doesn't create a temp file. It reads it directly out of the MPQ and then does with it what you say. And what you can say is a new file at a location that you ask the user. And then they give you these options things. These options are stupid. Let's just ignore those for now. Yeah, so resource as stream. Of course, I messed that up because it was supposed to be using path, but then I said file path. So that was just an auto suggest that's bugged. So we'll just put path in there, and then I can make a new file like c:/temp / mymodel.mdx, right? And you could do that, and so that would make it that when oh, there's a bug. Okay, what's the bug? That's silly. Oh, really? Oh, yeah, okay. Instead of new path or new file, you have to do paths.get. It's this Java thing they invented. It used to be smart, now it's not, and do this surround with try catch thing just because it used to be smart, now it's not. Actually, we'll make it even smarter. Instead of this, do new exception, or what is it? Exception popup dot display the error, and this displays the thing in a pop-up so you can see if it crashes, which it probably won't do. So you can go in here to the ghost and you can just click extract on the ghost now, right? And this means that if I go and I open c:/temp mymodel.mdx, it opens the ghost. So we've added the extract button, but it always goes to one place. So now what we have to do is ask the user, like, okay, user, where do you want to put it before we file copy it, right? So for that, you can honestly just use jFileChooser, and you can just make a new one. Let's make a new, basically a new file chooser thing, right? And you can choose what's your current directory that you start from. I don't know if we really care too much about that, but we could probably use the user's save profile, and we could say get like their most recent save path. I think is maybe get path. What is this? Last directory. Yeah, okay. So this path is set. It's set path, which happens when you import a model, or when you open a model, or when you save a model. In any of those cases, I just save this user profile path. So we're just going to use that same file path because why not, really? So this is our default that we use. This is our file chooser that we create, and then we're going to do show save dialog. And for that, we could even do, can we do this in here? Can we just wrap this? No, we can't. Okay, so let's use unit editor tree browser thing, whatever the heck that is, .this. Basically, that just says when it pops up the dialog, it needs access to the rest of the system via some kind of thing that it's going to latch onto, like what created it. So it's going to latch onto the tree browser thing. Okay, great. So we have that. And now, once we show the save dialog, we can actually query back what's the response from the user. Okay, and then we can say if and only if the response equals jFileChooser.approve, and if let's take that jFileChooser and we'll get the selected file, right? So this is the selected file. So then if the selected file is not null, meaning that the user actually chose a file, then in that specific case, copy the file out of the MPQ codebase and save it to the file. Although unfortunately in this case, it's supposed to be a path, like that problem I had before. So just do selected file.toPath, that converts it to a path, which basically means the same thing as a file, they're just invented by different people. Okay, great. So you do that, and that gives us the ability now that I can run this thing, and I can go to like Siege Tank, and I can say extract, and I'm like, all right, let's not put it in temp. Let's put it in documents, Warcraft 3 models, right? And I can actually put the Siege Tank.mdx right here in this models folder. Although it's not suggesting MDX to us, so if you were really going to do this for real, you'd probably want to make it do that. And then I can go, maybe it should even set the path so that the path, when I do a file open, defaults back to that same path. Because otherwise, how am I going to find it? But you can see I can do file open Siege Tank in my models folder right here, and it has exactly the Siege Tank that we just saw. And keep in mind that the particle effects, it's a glitch in my particle system that we see particles where we shouldn't. That's not a glitch in the model. That's a glitch in my program and how it displays the model. So the model's fine. We've got this siege engine, and we just saved it in the models folder. That's great. But then there's another thing, okay? Welcome to the world of programming. So are you going to sit here and spend this time to click extract on every single one of these? Because that's a total waste of time, right? What I usually like to do if I have to do something like that is I just go in here to this hacks folder, and I just make file new, right? Now, let's say I want to make a file like gimme all revolution file, okay, right? This is the gimme all revolution file. And basically what you can do with that, we can go on my hard drive, and we can say, well, let's make a folder in like documents, Warcraft 3 models, right? Where's the models folder? Surely there is a models folder. Okay, it's sorted strangely. Yeah, so let's make a folder in models called Revolution. That'll just be all the Project Revolution unit models, right? So basically, you can do a code interaction with the system that we just saw, right? So I can say Warcraft 3 map object data load, and we're going to load object data as though we were a map. And I can say, sure, we'll inline the strings file, I don't care. And this will be our data, right? So I can say, okay, here's my data. We got to have this error catching, but we don't care about the error catching. And then we can say, for every War3 unit ID, so War3 ID is the type of object. I created a type called War3 ID to represent it. For every unit ID in data.getUnits, key set, so like the set of the keys in the units mapping system. Loop through all the unit IDs and then do data.getUnits. So it's like using the units. Basically, you can even say that off to a variable. Like you could do data.getUnits. That's all the units, and then you're just saying for every key in units in the key set of the units. Maybe this is autocorrect. Like units.get, he'll just get the unit, right? And what's the ID to get? The one that we're looping over. So we get every single unit in the game. This is a game unit, or like a unit object. You know, it's a type, a unit type basically, right? This is our unit type. So then I say, okay, well, let's get the model of the unit type. So let's get a field as a string, war3 id.fromString umdl, or ufile. What is it, ufile? I think it's ufile. It's a unit file. There's no levels on these. They're not abilities, so you give it a 0, right? So that's the file string. And then I say, okay, this is the file string. So let's do mpq codebase, get the codebase, get the file, get it as resources stream so it's faster. And you can get it from that exact file, right? Now, of course, you might notice in our unit editor browser tree, whatever it was we were just in, this thing had a special function, convert path to MDX. This is nonsense that you should have to do this, but it's how Warcraft works. So we'll stick that in our code file here too, which just takes .mdl and replaces it with .mdx. And that way I can make sure that not only do I actually query the file path off the unit, I get file path to MDX. And I say, okay, boom, now I have a file path to MDX. Okay, so it turns out this had to be static because the other function's static. That's really dumb, and that's just specific to the code language. Great, so we get the file path, we get the thing out of the MPQ. This is the stream of the thing. So yeah, this is the stream of the thing, and then basically just do files.copy again, stream, and put it in path.get. You can put multiple strings in here, so just say Warcraft Models Revolution as one, right? And then as the second one, put the file path of the thing, .mdx. And for the options, we do not care. I'll just standard copy option, replace existing. So if it's already there, just like nuke it and make a new one. So you can do that, right? And then once you've coded this, you can say, okay, computer, go. And it'll just go for a while, and then, what? Ufile is not the name of the model file of the unit? Are you joking me? Really? Okay. Sorry, I accidentally clicked something on the taskbar. I didn't mean to click. Okay. So ufile is apparently not unit model. It must be umdl then. You know, it's one of these, one or the other. Okay, no such file. Oh yeah, so this points out another design flaw in the system. So the design flaw in the system is that if I have the reference to this target path where I'm going to save, if there are folders, like I got 5 folders, like unit/blah/zergling/blah in this big long folder path, the stupid thing isn't smart enough to make the folders for me, and that's crazy. So just do files.create directories. Is there like get, okay, what is it? Target.get parent path. So like for the parent of that unit, whatever parent of its folder is, that would be the parent. And just create the directories of that. And this thing takes file attributes, which I don't even want to care about. We're just going to leave it blank. So let's try running it again. Required not null. So basically, then just say if the stream is not equal null. So there are a couple of units in Project Revolution that don't have a model. And if their model was null, you wouldn't want to try to extract them. It crashed. That's what just happened. So you fix that, and then boom, it gives you all the units, Project Revolution units, buildings, Terran, Academy, whatever the heck you want, units, Protoss, Archon, whatever the heck you want in here. And you could just go and open any of them, right? It doesn't, like, you don't have to worry about these things, okay? Now, don't do this on a map that you didn't make or that isn't 12 years old, like Project Revolution. And always give credit to the people who make the things that you're looking at, right? Surely that would be obvious to you. Surely, right? Because, I mean, think about the guy who made this Academy model. I'm sure he spent a long time doing it. Think about the guy who made this spawning pool model. I'm sure he spent a long time doing it, right? These are not easy things to make. If you can't make them, you should be giving credit to the guy who did. So definitely do that. Okay? Why did they put the frog in there? So, you know, eventually you might actually want to add some code to query out, you know, if it's a custom unit or not. I'll leave that to you. So that's all I wanted to say. Deepstrasz want to know how to do this. That's how you do it. Here you go. Yeah, don't do that for the wrong reasons. Okay, my program exists to mod Warcraft and make Warcraft great and make custom content great. And it does not exist to tick off your friends who spend a lot of time making things. All right, great.